Welcome to my basement, everybody. Today is a very spoilerific conversation about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I'm joined by two incredible gentlemen that I got to
I'm here
see
with you, Victor.
The Last Jedi
Marie, my
with.
friend, I'm here.
We've got Kylo Ren in an oversized T-shirt, and we've got Star Wars scarf himself, Ben Silverman.
Let me
Host-
take a sip from my Burger King glass from 1977.
That is so
That's
epic.
made with real lead, by the way. That's made with
Yeah.
lead paint.
My insides are dying, but
That's gonna.
Force away.
I mean, something. It's preserved you somehow because you look exactly the same as I've always known you, Ben. Same with you, Foobs. You guys look great. Let's just-
really high midichlorian count.
Is that what it is?
Super.
Crystals, all kyber crystals. That's all I ingest.
So we had a live cast immediately following Star Wars, and we didn't even eat. We were starving, but we just went right back to the hotel room. And normally we just get naked and get into bed together, but this time we decided let's
We're taking half of it.
let's have a conversation about Star Wars. And it was super fun, but of course we couldn't talk about anything. So today, all bets are off. We can talk about every single thing because we went out afterwards and had a great conversation and a great meal, and it's stuck with me, and this movie is stuck with me. Now, we're recording this on Thursday. This is the day that everybody is going to see this thing. This is the early, night that it premieres. Foobs, you're going to see this right after we're done here, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see it at 11:30 tonight, which means I'll be in the movies until about 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's long, but we know it's early to release one of these things. But I think the thing that you can, because we're spoiling everything, but I think the thing that you can say about The Last Jedi, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong here, you just want to talk about it. Like, you see this movie and it's like, I want to share some thoughts about this film because it sticks with you and some weird choices are made, man. Like, it's not what you're predicting. Ben, why don't you take us in and give us some observations that you recognize about The Last Jedi?
Well, it's 153 minutes, so there's a lot of stuff to cover, and I think that's when you're saying you want to talk about it right away. It's because there's things that happen in the beginning of the movie that by the end of the movie you're like, oh my god, we got to get to that. Like, there's just it feels like two movies kind of combined into one film, and lengthwise it's the longest Star Wars they've ever made, so it sort of is two movies. Man, it feels weird to talk out loud about any of the real...
Spoilers.
Yeah,
We're gonna say shit.
Yeah, if you're watching this video and you're gonna complain that we spoiled it, you're a fucking idiot because we clearly mentioned plenty of times that we're going to talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. In case you're not aware yet.
And my first impulse was for us to have a live conversation and interact with, because some people have seen this thing. I've had comments on my Film Fury review. It's a divisive movie. People are not liking it already, and some feedback is coming. A lot of people love it, but some people are really angry about it. So I know people want to talk about this. Ben, spoil away. Okay. Thoughts?
I wrote down some sort of points that I think we're going to need to discuss, which are sort of plot-related points. And I think that, to me, is going to be the big discussion here. We've all agreed that the movie, in general, looks incredible.
Yes.
It is, as a sort of piece of filmmaking, it's the best Star Wars I think I've ever seen. Just the sheer volume of awesome effects and incredible sequences, and look at this. The lightsaber duels are amazing. The thing opens up with one of the coolest space battles they've ever had in it. It just hits the gas and just like shows you so much Star Wars shit over and over again. You're like, I want this on my wall. Every image I want on my wall.
Yeah, lots of frameable moments. One of the things that sticks out for me is the way that the salt on Crate gets pushed aside underneath people's boots, and it's all blood red, and it's just amazing. It's just an amazing image. It's like the planet is bleeding, and it's so good.
I mean, look, to be fair, some people have already, and we all already said this, that there are elements of Battlestar Galactica in this movie that are sort of unavoidable. I mean, everything from the core plot of, here's a spoiler, the rebellion sort of being chased by this First Order gigantic ship, and these other ships are chasing them down, and they're dwindling, and the ships are getting blown apart, and the rebels are sort of on this one last ship, and where are they going to go? And then they land on this planet Crate, and then they get into this another kind of fight with the First Order. And the big First Order AT-ATs also look like they're from Battlestar Galactica. They've got a big kind of black and red theme. And I realized the more I thought about it, it's not fair to put that on Battlestar Galactica because technically Darth Vader was the very first black and red themed badass motherfucker in science fiction for me. I mean, you could say the Cylons, right? But in the early Battlestar Galactica, but even then it was all sort of based off Star Wars.
They were, everything was based on Star Wars.
I'm going to forgive that, right? Forgive its Battlestar Galactica likeness in terms of its visuals. And you're right, amazing looking movie. But back to the point of starting to get into some of these spoilers, I wrote down sort of each of the character names because I thought that was a good way to start and to kind of talk about what we like and maybe didn't like, what we expected or didn't expect from some of the characters. I'm going to start with an easy one and one that we haven't covered a lot, which, and this might feel like a weird place to start, but I feel like we have to start here, and it's Finn. So Finn, to me, was really the big character in the first movie in the sense that, like, we were watching him go through this experience, and then he, hooked up with Rey, and then he went over here, and then he went over there. And this whole time, I was wondering, because I just saw The Force Awakens again, when are we going to find out how Finn decided to leave the First Order? Like, he just took his helmet off in The Force Awakens and was, like, panting and having a panic attack, and he takes off. And they've never really explained anything about how or why or what was the motivation there. And this entire movie, they didn't touch on it at all. And it's like he's just a member of the rebellion now. He has a lame interaction with Phasma at one point. He's still considered a traitor, but they don't explain anything about why this entire thing happened to this important character in the movie. Maybe they did in Force Awakens and I missed it, but...
Well, the one thing that they do kind of touch on is Rose, who falls in love with Finn in the movie. Spoilers like crazy.
You're supposed to say that before you. But
sorry. Yeah, well, it's in the video title, so...
Rose kills Luke Skywalker at the end after she murders Kylo Ren.
Well, Rose falls in love with Finn, but Rose's sister dies in the opening sequence of the film, in an incredible sequence. You'd mentioned how amazing that space battle was. Yeah. One of them is the big bomber ship, and Rose's sister has part of a medallion, and bombs drop, and she goes out spectacularly. And then you recognize how much that meant to Rose and how much the chivalry and the selflessness of soldiers mean to Rose. And she sees Finn, who has this predilection for abandoning his post and trying to run for the hills, trying to do that again. And so she kind of rescues his soul, but it's a bit contrived, and we don't see much lift on what Finn as a character could become. And I felt like the Rose and Finn stuff, although it was pretty well performed and they're likable, it felt flat in comparison to a lot of the other stuff in the movie. I feel like it wasn't as exciting to watch them go through their sequence on the casino world and ride those creatures as it was to see Poe just be this, driven, like, no, we can't let them kill us. We've got a solution here. We'll figure it out. We'll solve it all the way through. And then Rey is doing some exciting stuff with Luke Skywalker with her training and her, trying to dig into her soul. And even Kylo Ren being conflicted and not knowing whether he's going to listen. I was a bit disappointed with Finn. And I noticed when we talked about the movie, we didn't even really bring those two characters up.
That's why I brought it up as the first point, because there are certainly more exciting and intense things that we're going to talk about. So I just want to make it clear, we're not trying to focus on Finn, but that was my point. The last movie ended. Force Awakens ended with, like, Finn did this incredibly heroic thing, picked up a lightsaber, somehow knew was pretty good with it. Everyone was like, there's got to be something going on there. And then he's injured, mortally wounded. He's in this thing. And then he wakes up in the very early going of this movie. And he doesn't really he's running around trying to save shit, but we don't learn much more about his motivation other than I hate the First Order.
He does become a hero again, though, at the end of the movie when he's taking the beater. And I like the idea of these beater craft, racing towards the walkers and all of the armament of the First Order, and he is the one that decides. But we don't really know that motivation. Like, we know he's got it in him. And we
don't know why. And I guess that's my point, is that you look at Poe, you don't need to know. He's like cut from the Wedge Antilles cloth, right? He is a lifer in the rebellion and the resistance. He is fighting. He's that's who he is. He's a starfighter pilot. He's kind of got a little bit of Han Solo rogue shit going on in him. And we get it, and it's awesome. Rey, we know there's mystery there, but we know she's from this planet. She's got some sort of tie to the Force. She's got some sort of relationship with Kylo Ren, maybe Han Solo. We don't know exactly where she's coming from. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Finn, to me, is the character that is the one we're most sort of tethered to because he's the most normal. He's like the normie. He's this guy who is he's not an incredibly skilled fighter pilot. He's not a Force sensitive one. He's the one that, like, in that first movie, we're seeing it through his eyes of the terror of the First Order. Of I don't know how to shoot on this Millennium Falcon. I don't know how to, like there's such an opportunity there for them to humanize him, and he is such a human character. And in this movie, I felt like they just kind of bailed out on his backstory, on us getting to know him better, on us getting to understand his motivation better, and he's just sort of thrown into this kind of slightly awkward love story with Rose that may or may not be a love story. We'll talk about romance in a minute because there's another lot of issues with that as well. I thought that was a little bit of a letdown. And this is, again, not my first instinct to talk about because there's other things to talk about, but over the last 48 hours, I keep coming back to, like, I don't really remember what's going on with Finn. That's why.
I mean, Foobs, tell me about your sort of thoughts on the film in general. Like, we all left with smiles, but there was a lot to pick apart, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to nitpick after the fact. Like, talking about it immediately after, it's just like you're on that high of like, yes, I just saw new Star Wars, and that shit's not even out, and there's only a select handful of people that have seen this movie already.
Right.
So you're on that level, but then you let it marinate a little bit, and you start to for me, I was just diving deeper into the thought process of who these characters are and what's their motivation. Again, like, okay, we didn't talk a lot about Finn in the movie, but I assume the next episode is going to be like a big chunk of his push, since this was just primarily Rey's journey to becoming, this potential Jedi and what her story was and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that he'll play a big part. And then I just watched Rogue One again the other night, and it's just like a small thing, but like there's the scene when oh Jesus Christ, I can't even remember Jen Erso. When she first shows up on the planet to look for to Saul Guerrero, because we couldn't figure out his name the other day.
Yeah.
And she saves this Asian girl who's just crying, and I'm like, maybe that's gonna be like some relation to Rose, because we haven't seen any other other Asian people in Star Wars other than Rogue One, and we had Chimwit and all these other guys. But I'm like, damn, maybe that's some sort of like underlying hidden story that this little girl was saved, and that's like Rose's mom or something. I don't know. But now I'm just like thinking of backstories for side characters and all kinds of other shit, wondering like how all of it's going to potentially tie in to what we're seeing in this new sequels going forward.
Which I guess we did when we first saw the original trilogy, and I was talking to Ben over text chat about this, but the original trilogy, I didn't feel like I wanted more story. Like, I didn't feel like I wanted to know more about Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Leia, or Darth Vader, other than I was curious about their mystery. I didn't feel like I didn't get enough about them in the movies, like
there was one mystery in Star Wars, in the trilogy. Luke Skywalker, the mystery of Luke Skywalker. Who are his parents? He's this Force, sensitive person, and no one else was, right? There weren't 12 other people. There weren't other Jedi. There was Obi-Wan. There was Luke. We learned about Vader. Han Solo, you understood. He was like, right at the beginning, they're like, we need someone to take us somewhere. He's a smuggler. He's this roguish character. He shoots Greedo. He shot first right at the beginning. Like, we get these characters. Princess Leia is a princess. The first time we see her, she's a fucking princess. We get it. Like, the problem with the new trilogy is everybody's got a mystery. Everyone's a mystery. Kylo Ren, the mystery of Kylo Ren, the mystery of Rey, the mystery of Finn. And it's like,
well, and also we
need to answer these fucking things. You can't just make everyone a mystery all the time, constantly.
And we also have the mystery of what the hell did Luke and Leia and Han do for those 30 years as well. There are lots of pieces, and there are a lot more characters, and it's exponentially more interesting. But then in this movie, which is serving to get us towards the conclusion of this trilogy, because we're supposed to wrap up the whole Skywalker saga by the end of this. So
in a 7-hour Peter Jackson-esque.
Well, I mean,
9 hours.
Luke Skywalker dies in this movie, and he goes out
he disappears. He Obi-Wans.
He goes out in the same way that Obi-Wan and Yoda go out, and I think one of the messages is that nobody really ever disappears and nobody ever really dies, because Yoda appears back in this one. I think one of the surprising things is that we all from the imagery, thought that Luke was going to be more of an Obi-Wan type sage, that, you know, this old kind of warrior, and he ends up being a lot more like Yoda. He ends up being a lot more like this sort of kook that's living by himself and giving up on everybody. He's a hermit, and his mannerisms and the way that he interacts with Rey is very Yoda-like, so it made sense for Yoda to come back and have a laugh with him.
Great line. Best line in the movie. Maybe one of the best lines ever in the history of Yoda's amazing lines was like, what was it? Page turners, they are not.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, because he's talking about the ancient Jedi texts.
Scripts, yeah.
I liked all the stuff with Luke. I thought it was cool. I do feel, and we talked about this, that the fanboy in me really wanted there to be a climactic battle sequence. Because
with real Luke.
Yeah, we wanted Luke to fly to rescue the day and to show us what a badass he still is, and he ultimately became. You know, because we saw his skill in Return of the Jedi, but we didn't see the afterword of that. You know, like
I feel like there's such a parallel for everything, like Jedi-wise. Like if you look at, you know, all the leadership in the Jedi Order that we've seen throughout the movies, they all fucking disappear and become hermits. Obi-Wan did it. Yoda did it. You know, now Luke Skywalker's doing it. And so it's just like, maybe they're so fed up with the Force. They're just like, I tried, like Yoda tried to teach all these people, lost his shit, and he fucking showed up on this. He's like, I'm just going to go away to this island.
Well, and I think that might be part of the transition of the Jedi, because they recognize the futility in what they're doing. And then I think they sort of give over to the other side of the Force, and then they come at peace. This is all shit you put together when you think about the movie, right? But the observation I have about this is, it's like Logan's Run. You cannot grow old in the Star Wars universe. Every old person is almost immediately dispatched. You know, like the one that lasted the longest was the Emperor, but almost all the olds.
Yoda was like 900, bro.
Yeah, but like from when we got to see him, it's like, oh, he dies in Empire, right? He just fades away by the end of Empire Strikes Back.
Jedi.
And
but here he is.
He dies in Jedi, yes, but he comes back, yes, but. It is like they just try to like wipe them out and get them out of there.
It was a weird. I think what you're getting at, Vic, is it was a weird decision to suddenly be realistic about the difficulty in traveling across the universe when someone hits a help beacon. Like, the reality is they hit the help beacon, they land on the planet, and like within I don't know how much time passes, not a lot. The First Order lands and they start attacking. So the amount of time they needed for Luke to like lift his X-wing out of the water, which I'm surprised we didn't see that scene of him with the Force doing the old Yoda bit, lifting the lifting the X-wing, hopping into it, flying all the way over to Crate, wherever the fuck that is compared to where his planet is, and getting there and actually knocking things aside. The reality of that experience probably is like, well, he's not going to make it there in time, so let's instead do this thing where he uses the Force and projects himself there. It was a weird time to start to maybe make that as a decision. I don't know if that's the reasoning. Maybe they wanted to instead just say, we want to show how powerful he is. He still has a weird relationship with the Force, so he's going to do this other thing instead. But whatever the decision making was as to why Luke didn't show up and kick ass, I agree that shot of him, with his lightsaber and these crazy First Order giant tanks and Kylo Ren, that Luke didn't basically just start jumping in the air, like skyrocketing across the fucking, planet and just
like
slicing things apart.
Yeah.
Like Leia.
We'll get to Leia in a minute, but I think you're right. Like, we haven't seen Luke since Jedi, and even in Jedi, he was still he hadn't killed Vader. I mean, like, he hadn't killed Palpatine. Like, this is one of the most powerful Force users of all time, if not in terms of the light side, probably right behind Yoda and Mace, right?
We had 9 episodes of Star Wars. We will have to sort of honor him and his family, and this was his moment, but they took that off the board. And the other major thing is they take Snoke off the board in a spectacular way, which was cool, but felt early. It felt
way
like
too early, premature.
Right? Yeah, and it would have been amazing to have a Snoke and Skywalker confrontation and to get us into Episode 9 in epic style, even if both of those characters died with their meeting each other. That would have been amazing, right? And then leave it a little bit more open-ended, because That battle scene that's in Snoke's throne room is spectacular, and it's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
But then you're like, there's a gaping hole in the movie because Kylo Ren is still searching. He's still trying to. He's not menacing. He's not Darth Vader, and he's not the Emperor, and he's not Snoke. And maybe, you know, like it's all speculation, but maybe it's because he's going to, you know, find the good part of his soul, and it's going to, you know, we're going to not have the same amount of confrontation in the next film. But then he does something really crazy, and he decides to just go for no quarter against the remnants of the resistance, and he just seems like he's more evil than he's ever been at the end, which is in direct contrast with, like, he kills Snoke. It's him that kills Snoke, right?
Yeah, with
right.
their lightsaber, he like
yeah.
forces it over. It's a cool shot, but I think the problem that we have with it, though, I don't know if it's just that Snoke dies and that we're left without, you know, a really potent, scary, you know, Palpatine-like force that we know is like on the bad side. We're gonna wait. It's more that the movie ends, I felt like, a little bit without confrontation. Setting up for the next film. Like, it ends on this note where it could have almost been the end of the whole thing. Like, it doesn't leave the door open for, I can't wait to see how X, Y, or Z is going to be resolved. I don't really care. Like, the Rey-Kylo relationship, I'm only a little interested in. I'm not that interested in. I'm much more interested in, you know, when you think about the end of Empire or even the end of Attack of the Clones, like, it feels like it's going somewhere. Like, you have to see this next movie to see how this plot thread is resolved. They resolve a lot of things. They end a lot of things. And they don't necessarily start a lot of things. And you don't know how they're going to take the next movie and make it interesting. Like, I agree with you. I don't think Kylo Ren, after everything that's happened, is a particularly imposing
and he's the
figure.
He's the supreme master, or the supreme being of the dark side at the end of it. And Hux, the General Hux character, is still alive, you know, which just seems totally like unbelievable by this point, right? Like, he feels like a kind of a disposable screamer that in one of Kylo Ren's tantrums he would have bit the dust, but he's still there, and it would have been satisfying to watch that, quite frankly. But he's still there. Snoke is gone. Skywalker's gone, and the other major death, which just felt so wrong-headed. You know, because of extenuating circumstances, this would have been the perfect way for Princess Leia to go out. Was Laura Dern's exit in the picture, which is also spectacular. But we just met her, and like 20 minutes later, she goes out in this blaze of glory, like we've never seen. Like, one of the most spectacular. Yeah, she's a boss, and she's an admiral, and it's an amazing move. She light speeds through a whole fleet of. Yeah, it's incredible. It's an amazing sequence, but that should have been General Leia. She should have said, let me do that.
Let's talk for a minute about General Leia. I would love to get both of your thoughts. Jose, let's start with you on this. What do we think about Princess Leia turning into fucking Iron Man in the middle of outer space and like wheeling herself back onto a ship? She's
interesting take. Interesting take. Never really seen Princess Leia utilize her Force abilities any other way other than like talking to Luke Skywalker, sensing Luke.
Yeah.
Now she's just going on full on. I can fly, I can fly, I can fly. She got the pixie dust sprinkled on her. It's the Disney magic, man. The Disney magic worked its way into Princess Leia, or General Leia's soul. That was a little weird. Like, I feel like they could have, I don't know, swung around and tried to catch her or something. Her just going into full on, like, you know, anything.
Like, you're blaming the ship. Like, why did they pick her up? Like,
like they're just like, oh, she out in space. Oh, she gone. It was, you know what it was? It was, it's
I would have liked to see that scene. Oh, she out of space? Oh man, she gone.
That was kind of the humor level that was throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's Star Wars sort of a little bit more becoming Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, they did the same thing in Guardians of the Galaxy when they're trapped out in space, and then
holy shit, yeah, right,
you know, and you got Benicio the Collector, who makes an appearance in this movie as well as also in, you know, Guardians. So it's like, all right, well, maybe they're taking something from their other, you know, properties, little Disney Marvel love.
I didn't mind that Leia suddenly developed this force power that we've never seen. It kind of was akin to R2-D2 having rocket boosters in his legs that we had never seen in the prequels. There was a little bit of that, but
they rusted out between episodes, you know.
That was a really heavyweight. Wait a minute, but that's like maybe the most heavyweight Force move I've ever seen. Like, I mean, Force choking's cool, moving shit with your mind is cool, but like floating dead through space and like willing yourself sort of back to life and then floating into the like that was fucking nuts.
I just don't see the thinking and the rationale of throwing Laura Dern into here just to give her this epic send-off, and there is no emotional payoff other than holy shit, that's cool. And if Leia had done that, if Leia wasn't the one, like if Laura Dern got sucked into space, that would have also been really shocking, right? For us to, holy shit, she's a huge star. No, it would have been a cool moment, but she would have been gone.
They think you're just annoying, you know, like when they introduce this character, you're just like, I don't like her. She's like, maybe she's working with the Empire. There's something fishy because she doesn't really like Poe, and Leia liked Poe, but she kind of demoted him in the middle of the film, and then well, it's all right, so they're back on good graces, and then she's just like, oh no, you're not a commander, you're just the captain, right?
Yeah.
Weren't you demoted, you little batch? You little batch?
Yeah.
And then so
I wish you wrote the dialogue for Star Wars Foods.
Oh, she's out in space. She gone. She gone. Warp speed.
Oh, she gone. She dead.
She gone. Princess gone. General gone.
But
I'm the captain now.
I mean, now we have this situation where Luke is gone, Snoke is gone, Carrie Fisher is gone, and Leia is alive, and it's really sad at the end, like when you think about it, like all of the resistance fits on the Millennium Falcon at the end of this movie. It's like, holy shit, that, honestly, it went down to that. But on the First Order side, it feels like they've been completely strip-mined as well. Like they're down to whatever fleet was on Crate, and they got this millennial that's running everything right now. You know, this
pouty millennials running the show in Star Wars and in our lives. I mean, I think like maybe that we talked about this when we were having dinner, but like maybe that's what they're doing. They're winding it down. Like they're trimming both sides. Like they're killing off this stuff. They're trimming things off, and it'll at the end just be like up to a couple of these players to kind of resolve the war and figure out what life looks like after this 9-movie run of a fucking battle. You know.
I don't think any of the characters, save for Poe, I would almost love a Poe story. Like he is. I think like he's the Cassian Andor Cassian Andor wanted to resonate like Poe does, you know. Yeah. But he didn't have 2 movies to kind of develop that character either. But Poe is such a cool soldier, you know, just a regular guy that just has amazing skills. It would be incredible to see that on the Empire side as well, you know, to see like some kind of head-to-head, you know, Red Baron type thing. Like
it is interesting how the First Order, other than Kylo Ren, doesn't. I mean, there's Phasma. Let's talk for a minute about Phasma, because that is the equivalent, right? Is like the only other character really on the First Order side. You've got Hux, who is a petulant, loud
screamer.
Like
he's got there's no veins popping out of his head.
There's no fear for us there. He's just irritating, and we get it immediately. Yeah. Phasma, Captain Phasma, is supposed to be in the first one like this badass. She's got this chrome ass. She got chrome. She got chrome.
Chrome. She's rocking a chrome. She's iced out.
She's got the coolest, you know, like stormtrooper outfit ever, and she just walks around with this fucking gun and is super, super mean to everybody, and everyone's like, okay, she's got to be badass. So we finally see her in this movie, like, there she is again. She's going to do some crazy stuff, and it's like a half-ass fight, and she's gone or dead or hurt or something.
She Boba Fett's right out of the picture,
Boba Fett's, but at least Boba Fett had, like, he froze Han and took his ass out somewhere. Like, Boba Fett had a long moment before he died like a lame-o. Like, Phasma, none of us have ever bought her as being a legitimate threat, and then they don't help. So regardless of that, I agree that there needs to be something else on the First Order or on the scary bad side that we're left with. Without Snoke, we don't have it. Without Phasma, we don't have it. We just don't have, you're right, the
Phasma's still alive.
Leia and Poe and Finn and Rey.
I hope Phasma's still alive, and I hope there's something really epic in the next movie. But I feel like this movie is great because it does have a lot of threads, and even if we're complaining, it's a great conversation, and I like the investment into discussing it and to thinking about it and to thinking about how we would have placed everything. But I think
better would have been a 10.
Like if we had the Luke and Snoke fight at the end, I think that and Leia going out and like that, those pieces, just like Han and Leia and Chewie having a hug in The Force Awakens, would have made this movie a flat out 10. It would have been the best Star Wars experience.
It's just like they took all their villains in this movie and they're just like, they're not villains. You know, like Darth Vader was a villain. The Emperor was a villain. Snoke is a fucking guy
and
dressed
Snoke
in
was amazing in this too. Yeah,
he's got his fucking silk robe on, who just gets gnarled in half in like the middle of the movie, and you're just like, well, that sucks. Why was that guy a badass? A little tint of his lightning power at the beginning, you're like, oh shit. You don't want to piss this guy off because he's gonna do some awesome stuff. Nope, he's gone. Phasma, useless in both movies. Just no point in having Gwendolyn Christie at all, and it doesn't matter who played Captain Phasma. Could have been, you know, fucking Warwick Davis in a 2-foot fucking stormtrooper costume. But still, just like, you did nothing in both movies. You got your eye blasted out. We can see you have an eyeball. There you go. That's foreshadowing to what? Oh, the fact that you're just gonna fall into this pit and potentially die minutes later.
They're hanging too much on Kylo, and they're
Rey.
giving us too much. They're showing us too much about his internal conflict. And in fact, this to me, that concept of internal conflict and conflicts with your destiny and where you're supposed to be, I think was padding the movie a little too much. Like, it's 153 minutes, and I think they probably could have trimmed 30 of those by cutting out a little bit of the, like, who am I? Who are you? Who are we? A constant, like, kind of the two of them, that weird thing where they had the kind of Kylo and Rey connection, and they could see each other, but they don't know how, and that was all Snoke bridging the gap, but it wasn't. They touch, and all this kind of vague romance, but we're not really clear where that's going. It was kind of tortured, and I was like, I don't want this to keep going on and on and on. I like Rey and Luke. I loved the Luke and R2-D2 scene.
Yeah.
Where they call back to the very, very beginning, "You're our only hope." Like,
that was amazing.
So many potent, touching moments. But then there was this period in the middle where it's just like all the characters are thinking out loud about their conflicts, and like, that's not really that interesting to watch.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, when we can, you know, after seeing it just once, kind of pick out some ways that we would have liked things to be formulated, it's hard to. It's hard not to forget that, right? And there's so much that does work in this. There's so much that's entertaining and really cool and great, you know, world building, and it's really a fun escape. But it isn't at the level of the first trilogy again, and I don't think it's as good as The Force Awakens, unfortunately. But what I'm concerned about now is what the hell J.J. Abrams is going to do. He's got a dead Supreme Leader. He's got a dead, you know, Jedi. He's got a, I mean, Rey and Kylo are kind of sort of meeting in the middle, and it feels like they're trying to work it so it's going to have just a peaceful resolution at the end of it. Like, it felt like they were taking all of the white and dark, you know, chess pieces off of the board and getting us to some kind of semblance of order, like star peace is what I said when we were at dinner, which I mean, I think they kind of have to do that, but it feels, it doesn't have the resonance of Empire leading into Return of the Jedi, you know?
Well, I think because, like, the same thing they did with Empire going into Jedi was there was that break where Luke becomes this badass and all this stuff happens, and, you know, people are trying to figure out what's happening. I think they need to put it. Obviously, there's going to be another, you know, single Star Wars movie before we get Episode 9.
Yeah, Han Solo.
The Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're going to take a big chunk of it and be like, Kylo Ren has built up the First Order back to something, and he found Phasma, and Phasma's going to be like Darth Vader, and he's going to be like made of different parts, and, you know, now she's fucking badass, and like Super Shredder and Ninja Turtles. Like, Shredder was cool, but Super Shredder was like, oh, okay, now we're talking. Super Phasma's going to be like, oh, I'm going to do awesome things now.
It's too late. It's too late. We don't give a shit. We don't buy it. Like,
we know.
She's lost. She's gone. She's done.
I know, but I feel like they need to save whatever that character was, because that was such a big storied character, this chrome stormtrooper. I mean, it's like this is a big. We've never seen a chrome stormtrooper. Now they got like black and white stormtroopers that are all mixed with like lightning swords and shit's getting crazy. So I'm hoping that they do something. They could still do something awesome and save it, but I feel like it's got to be a Super Shredder level, advancement for this character.
Something that has been missing for me, and I started realizing this right before we agreed to have this conversation today. But I've been thinking a lot about Leia, and I've been thinking a lot about.
Me too, man. Right here.
Yeah, right here, in my heart. No, right. I mean, she is the heart of the movie at this point, and thinking about now she's, some sort of Force user, and that makes sense. She's Darth Vader's daughter. And then I started thinking about Kylo Ren being Darth Vader's grandson, and then I started thinking to myself, where the fuck is Darth Vader?
Yeah.
We've got his mask, right? Kylo found his mask. He's got a burnt out mask. All of these other Jedi are coming back and talking all the time. We've got Obi-Wan talking in Luke's ear. We've got Yoda talking in Luke's ear. We've got Darth Vader. If you watch the original ones like we did, he was an old fat guy shimmering on Endor. If you watch the new ones, it's Hayden Christensen shimmering on Endor. We know he's passed over. We know he can speak to people. We know he can be an element here. I was surprised that over the course of this 153-minute movie that is all about sort of the progeny of Darth Vader, that Anakin...
And the permanence of the Force,
the permanence of the Force, and these are all related to Darth Vader. Snoke talks about Darth Vader. Then where the fuck is Darth Vader? Like, bring that voice back. Have somebody come in as Anakin in some way that is connecting with Kylo. We need to see that. We need to see something that tethers him to these characters. I felt that was a miss. Like, we're getting Yoda back. We're getting the light side people back. But like,
cry. He would just cry. They would just cut to Kylo Ren. He'd be all sad, mopey faced. He's got a terrible face for a villain. It would smashing his mask in the first 10 minutes of this movie. You have to see his fucking face the whole movie.
And it would show us a new motivation, or maybe show us more about what his struggle is about if he's got Darth Vader or Anakin trying to guide him, which it sounds like in Force Awakens was happening. He was talking to a helmet.
Yeah.
So, like, what happened there? Like, there were...
He lost his helmet now.
I mean, we haven't ever seen the dark side of the Force personified as a kind of a spiritual, embodiment of somebody that's fallen. Maybe in Episode 9, it's going to be a lot of that. Maybe we're going to see like this Force ghost war that happens with all of these different
everybody fighting lightsabers, not hitting anything.
I don't know. I mean, like, what are we gonna see? Like so much has been removed, and like I'm gonna put this to you guys: are you as excited for what's coming up as you were after you saw Empire?
No.
After I saw Empire? Oh.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. And I'm still invested because I love Star Wars, but I don't have that same passion, that same like.
You say that now, but you're gonna go see.
I can't wait, but I don't.
You're gonna lose your mind.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I'm back in, because you'll know that new Star Wars is gonna be on the horizon. And now it's like you kind of went into this movie thinking where they might go. Like, we're gonna learn about Rey's parents.
And I want to see it again too, because I know that. A lot more detail comes in on second viewing. I totally had that with Rogue One.
Empire left us with,
so much shock.
And it left everybody in shock.
Yeah,
I mean, it left us with the greatest line in Star Wars, and it left us with a rebellion in tatters. Han Solo is gone in carbonite.
Yeah.
Luke is the son of this horrifying villain.
Yeah.
How could there not have been? You could not have been more excited or anticipating.
Yeah, it was the perfect cliffhanger film.
This next film feels like it's going to be an epilogue. It doesn't feel like it's
totally
going to be the last chapter.
All of the resistance fits on the Millennium Falcon. The whole thing. They send out distress signals. Nobody calls. Nobody comes. Nobody answers.
There was no
Lando. Where was Lando? Lando. Where the fuck was, he should have come floating in like. It's funny you guys were here. I was actually in the back of that casino when you guys were there. I was back
that casino sequence too. That was another somewhat disappointing thing that sort of dipped into Attack of the Clones CG animal type effects and things like that, which It was okay. It wasn't. It was okay. It was but I did love the introduction.
There was a fucking leprechaun in it, man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna put him in.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. But I did.
Later.
I did love Benicio del Toro's character, though. I thought he had, I think, some of the most profound kind of revelations in this movie, and a very subversive kind of take about the perpetual aspects of the business of war, which you could totally correlate with what Disney is now doing with Star Wars. You know, like this is a battle that never ends, and it makes people very wealthy. And it's so cynical, and I was kind of shocked that that was in there, you know. And then he parachutes out of the movie. He's alive. I don't know if there's any more significance with him coming back. I thought he was going to come. I thought he was going to come back and be a somewhat heroic, like take a side and be a heroic figure at the end. But we don't see him again. But I liked him.
He's kind of a Lando, you know, in that sense that he's out for himself, but then might have a heart of gold. We don't know. Speaking of heart. Romance, we haven't really talked about it, and I know we want to wrap soon, but okay, we've got Rose and Finn, we've got Finn and Rey, we've got Rey and Kylo, and none of it I feel like has a lot of chemistry. The most chemistry I feel there is between Finn and Rey, but I don't feel sold on that blossoming. And one thing that I feel is maybe a letdown for me is that when I think of Star Wars, if you think of the first trilogy, that, you know, the original trilogy, if you even think of the prequels, romance and love and love in the face of war. It's the movie's called Star Wars, and love and relationships is born out of those kinds of experiences. Rogue One was a love story ultimately in the end with a beautiful ending, I think, of that movie with their love that was found through this conflict. So we're now 2 movies deep into the new trilogy, and nobody seems to really be in love with anybody, or it's unclear. Rose is in love with Finn, but that was also kind of an adoration because he's a hero, and it didn't connect very well, and he doesn't really love her. We don't know. Like, it's taking a long time for somebody to like somebody else, is what I'm saying.
And I think it correlates with how we feel about these characters, these new characters as well. I don't think we're as in love with these characters as we were almost immediately in love with Luke and Leia and Han. And I think...
Do we need it? Do we need romance in Star Wars?
I think so. I mean, I feel a great amount of warmth with the way that BB-8 came together and the way that Poe came together. And they aren't in the movie too much, and we don't get too much of their backstory, and they feel perfect to me. And I really like Rey. I really like the creation of Rey and her mystery and her performance. But almost all of the other new stuff, I'm not blown away by it, you know?
Flummoxed.
Yeah. I don't hate any of it, but it doesn't move me. I don't care about them as much, you know? I care what happens to Rey. I just think
Poe.
Well, I just think Poe is just he serves a purpose, and he's great. Like, he just fits right in. It's like, yeah, of course by this time there are going to be these hotshot guys that may have some Force stuff going through them.
Hotshot guy. There's just one. There's just Poe.
Yeah, it's just him. Yeah,
no,
but that.
No one else. There's no Wedge. There's no Biggs.
But it works.
There's no Porkins.
You know. And BB-8 could have been such a cheeseball addition to this franchise, but I love BB-8. It's an incredible creation, and the only thing I don't love about BB-8 is that he's taken all the screen time from R2-D2, and I still love R2-D2, you know. But
out with the old man. You get rid of Luke. You get rid of R2. You get rid of Han.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Chewie, again, you're fucking done. Episode 9, Chewie. You're out, buddy.
Well, fuck, and that's a problem too. We don't even talk about Chewie either. You know, like, why have these characters?
It's a new guy, man. It's a new guy. It's not the same soul.
But I don't mind that. I don't mind if they have to move on. We talked about it before that we have to move on with them. We have to move forward. My question again, and I don't think either of you have answered it.
Yeah.
Do we need to move on past romance in Star Wars, or are we feeling like that's missing from the films? I keep looking and waiting. There was that scene, man, when she connects with Kylo again, and he's got no shirt on, and his big ass titties are out, and he's like flexing his titties, and he's sweaty for no reason, and she's like, could you put on a towel or something? And it was kind of funny, but he doesn't do anything, and he just stares like, no, and he like stands up, and his titties are even bigger. We saw it on the big screen. So it was like big titties on the screen and strong titties. I don't mean sexy titties, big strong titties. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
Is this horny? I don't understand if she's horny for this. I don't get it. Why does this happen?
I mean, I think that did tease some kind of connection between the two of them. I thought that was okay, but you're right. It doesn't have that same. There isn't that romantic streak throughout this, and I think that's probably because we have so many characters. I think you can
obviously has a crush on Ray. He's constantly going like, "Where's Ray?" The first thing he says when he wakes up, right?
Yeah.
He wakes up out of his thing. He's got tubes sticking out of him, and he's like, "Where the fuck's Ray?" Like he has like a thing for her. But when they finally meet up again, after however long it's been, and they finally meet up again, it's just like a hug, and then he's concerned about this other person who's in love with him, and now it's like, is he caught up in a triangle?
It's very chaste, right? But you did feel there was a sexiness to the way that Luke and Leia and Han all were pulling their stuff together. You know, like they needed each other, and they really cared about each other, and
the incest kiss, man. There was an incest kiss at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back.
And there was a looseness and a comfort and a genuine, you know, like they're into each other. And in this one, it doesn't. And even so much as like Han and Leia meeting again, it was really chaste, and there wasn't a lot of love with the way that he hugged Leia in The Force Awakens. And I felt like that could have been. You know, they had a son together. They had years together, and that could have been a much bigger.
It takes a lot out of you, man. It takes a lot out of you.
All of that Han and the way that Han was relegated in the modern Star Wars has been a little bit disappointing for me. And
He's dead.
And I know, and I feel a little bit of the same thing with Luke as well. You know, like maybe the resonance will be there in the next movie. I don't like the interesting thing for me is not so much the movie that they're gonna make, but how the fuck they're gonna make the movie. Like what is JJ gonna do now? Like all of the cool guy, they're gone. You know, and
that's what I said
Carrie,
when we were talking about it the other day. I was like, "There's a reason why that guy quit." He's like, "Wait, we're gonna do something awesome with Phasma. We're gonna have Phasma and Snoke just be like the pinnacle of They're gonna be like, no, we're gonna off them. We're gonna take care of them. We're gonna take them right out." I was like, "All right, well." Maybe
who do I have left?
Luke and Kylo finally meet up, and they're gonna fight, and they're gonna solve this war. Like, now we're gonna off him too. We're gonna get rid of him. All right, so it's gonna be Hux versus Finn in the climactic episode.
I know, right? It's gonna be Hux and Finn. How is Hux still alive? Oh,
they're gonna fight with words.
Yeah. Do you guys change your score?
No, I mean. I still enjoyed the fact that there's new Star Wars, and the fact that it's opening up so many different stories. I
love this because we could meet next week. You're going to see it again today, right? Like that's what I love about Star Wars, you know. And Rogue One did that too. But it is like it does open because it is like it's a giant puzzle that's just going to constantly be added to, and who knows if the Han Solo movie is going to be any good or if that's going to introduce some new things that kind of.
Who likes Han Solo? He's dead.
Well, you know.
Him dead.
I mean, I think it's impossible to come out of that movie, and think about it more and more and have your score go up.
Yeah.
Put it that way. I think the more you think about the movie and the more you deconstruct it,
until you see it again, though.
Maybe you see it again and it starts to be more of a salvo over some of that. But like right now, my feeling is that I walked out of the movie and I was like, that's probably a 9. That was a really cool movie.
Yeah.
And in the last, I guess, 72 hours now, since or 48 hours or whatever, I am dropping that score
my
head, in my heart to like an 8 or maybe, I don't know. I said when we did it, like, this is not a 7. But I could probably convince myself in a bad enough place in my head after enough drinks that this is a 7. I don't think it is. I think just in terms of its pure, the filmmaking horsepower here and like the quality of the filmmaking, like how good it is.
And the myth building as well. Like even if we are not crazy about the decisions, they're gutsy decisions.
And they're decisions made from a place of love. You know that he cares and there's care here. It's not It's not absent, you know?
And the through line with Luke passing is very much in keeping with the way that Obi-Wan and Yoda went out, you know? And when you, it's not necessarily the dramatic way, but maybe that is the ultimate best way for a Jedi to leave us, you know? And maybe that's the comment there.
You know, I think one of the things when we were talking about this after we saw it, that I said right before I think I got on Bart and left, was that I feel more so than in any other Star Wars movie, I need to see the next movie to inform my feelings about this movie.
Right.
Like where they go from here.
Yes.
And if they take it to a place that feels like it resolves in a way that is somehow satisfying. It doesn't have to be a bow at the end. Everyone doesn't have to win. I love things that end in weird ways.
You're so right, Ben. And you know what? You're so right. And I think what we'll have is like Empire made Star Wars. Like it made it at the universe that we love and the franchise that Empire did that. And I feel like it's all on JJ now to complete this properly, but this will be the catalyst movie, though. This will be the transitional film that makes our ultimate feelings about this new trilogy relevant, or like we can actually isolate them, because I think there's so much nostalgia and so much expectation wrapped into all of this, and stuff that Rogue One, in a way, kind of smartly avoided by being this right up to the second prequel.
What if JJ just lost it? What if everyone's dead? Smoke monsters. That's gonna be it. Fucking lost. They're all dead already. Right.
It's all. Or
there's polar bears everywhere. Like shit.
Or Han Solo wakes up. Terrible dream, man. Let's get out of here, Chewie. Okay, so let's pick. I think we should end with this. Based on what we've talked about and thought about, where does The Last Jedi sit in your Star Wars ranking? You don't have to necessarily give it a score, but if you want to rescore it, you can. Best Star Wars movie?
No, I would say it's 4th.
Okay, list them out for us.
Empire.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Then The Last Jedi?
No, it's 5th. It's 5th. I do I mean, I have to see it again. I'm going to see it again tonight.
Yeah.
Be able to pull back the reins. I need to see if those Jedi texts are on the Millennium Falcon at the end, because I think they are. If anybody else sees that, you let me know.
Right. Ooh, that's interesting.
I liked Episode 7. I don't know. It's tough, man. Now I have to rethink everything. I have to rethink life.
So as much, we have been bitching and complaining a lot, but it still matters. Like it's still a good movie.
It's continuing the story of the best trilogy of Star Wars, right? It's like it's nothing to like. It's like tell another Lord of the Rings tale. Like, okay. What do we do? These movies are great. I don't know. Let's make The Hobbit 3 movies. They're like, no. So I mean, the fact that it's continuing that saga instead of going back and telling other stories, I mean, it's got a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
And it's trying to branch out for future iterations of whatever the hell's to come in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so I think I mean, it's tough, man. It's
so, okay, pick between this and The Force Awakens.
Well, I saw Force Awakens like 5 times in the theater, and that was like the first Star Wars movie in forever.
Yeah.
That, I mean, obviously, and it paid such a good homage to the original Star Wars. I don't know, man. Again, it's hard. They're
too soon.
Yeah, they're like
too soon. Okay, what about you, Ben?
Empire.
Yeah.
A New Hope.
Yeah.
Jedi, for me, is
Return
the top 3. Return of the Jedi. Sorry, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't know where Rogue One sits in here. I've seen Rogue One once. I should see it again, and I don't want to include it because it's not part of the specific canon. It's an easy one. They didn't have to do anything new. They just had to not fuck it up.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I would put The Last Jedi after Return of the Jedi and in front of Force Awakens, only because I think it's a better made film. And I think it had a much harder job, which was to move us, and I said this before, move us forward in Star Wars. Not just introduce new characters and then just build a story that is something we've already experienced with blowing up a giant battle station and Like the plot had to do something. It had to take us somewhere. It had to have a core around it that wasn't just rebellion blowing up giant ship, which we have now done twice. That was the third time in Star Wars and Force Awakens that we had seen the rebellion ship fly into a gigantic circle and a sphere and blow it up. Like that to me is a lot less interesting. It might have been easier or more successful from a plot perspective because it's not as hard to just sort of nail those points. This is a harder one to nail. I don't think they necessarily succeeded in a lot of ways, but I think it was a more beautiful film. I think it had more moments that are going to stand out for me ultimately over the course of Star Wars.
The best comedic moments in a Star Wars.
Oh, it's very funny. Sure.
Yeah. But also like touching moments with, again, the Luke and R2 scene, some of the Luke and Leia stuff, Yoda's great return, and then just even the moments with Rey and Kylo. I think it had better lightsaber moments than Force Awakens did. So I'm going to go ahead and say that, but it's sliding down. Like it's at fourth, or maybe Rogue One is ahead of it. I don't know, but like it's in that fourth, fifth spot next to Force Awakens, but they're sliding next to each other. They're two tectonic plates doing this, and then the prequels are all fucking way down there.
We don't even need to talk about those.
They're garbage.
I'm Empire. I'm Star Wars. I think I like the Force Awakens as my third. I felt like Jedi was too many victory laps in that movie, but I like that fourth. And then I think I like Rogue One better than The Last Jedi right now. But I want to see it again.
Come to me, child.
It's so hard. We've seen all of those. I mean, this maybe including The Force Awakens now. We've seen them 1,000 times, essentially. Or we played them in our head 1,000 times.
Yes.
This has been 48 hours after seeing the biggest one. So it's really hard to rank it right now. But it's not. I definitely don't think it's going to be in the top 2 or 3 for me.
It's not up there, no. And it's mostly because it just doesn't have that. Maybe there were way less things to think about and worry about, and the machine was way less built as well. Now everything is a part of this film, like the franchise, these characters, where they're going to be. Daisy Ridley came out and said she doesn't want to do any more Rey stuff after Episode 9. Maybe she'll come back in 30 years, and so all of that machinery stuff is a part of the way that we sort of consume this now. But God, it's still totally worth seeing, and it's absolutely worth making up your own mind. And I can't wait to see it again and see some more details and revisit this next week. We'll have our weekly Last Jedi reviews.
I can't wait to see what the internet does.
Oh, I know.
I mean, this weekend is going to be a fucking bloodbath. Like it's going to be cheering and booing.
And there's a lot of hate already for this. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, I've been my review, because it's already out in the UK, and so my review has been up for a couple of days on the Film Fury channel, and there are people that just hate this movie and hate what Disney has done. Wow. And so yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how it's received. And also, there is an saturation thing that you could level at Star Wars at this point. I think there's a lot of bad buzz coming off of the way that Battlefront was pushed out there. And so, yeah, it's going to be fascinating. This is a big deal, This is a really big deal. And I think we're going to see the Han Solo trailer this weekend as well. I think they're going to probably attach it to The Last Jedi, and because we didn't see the trailer when we saw the movie.
I'll tweet about it tonight.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Love that we saw this together, though. This will be something I'll never forget. And
that was great, but I need to go see it without you guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, may the Force be with both of you and with all of you for watching. And sorry if we spoiled the movie, but we tried to give you as many warnings as possible.
If you made it this far and you're mad about spoilers, you don't know how to use it.
All right, guys, take it easy. Thank you.